¿A dónde está papi? 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 ¿A dónde está papi?
Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Wednesday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Wednesday. Welcome, everybody. Dairy Bennett, Quad Bennett, Heat, how's it going? Holy City, welcome. Trump at the NABJ interview. Yes, I saw it was pretty, from what from the commentary that I've been watching, yeah, not beating the not beating the racism accusation there. Breaking news in the Middle East regarding the broader Arab-Israeli conflict. What's the breaking news? Are we doing World War III yet? Basically, oh, that's good. The last thing that I saw was that Israel decided that they were going to do a series of bombing runs, and I believe one of those bombing runs was in Lebanon and among other places. Folks, I'm exhausted today, so we're just gonna take it slow and probably make it a slightly shorter stream. I can tell. Thanks for streaming. No problem. Last night, let me tell you, after the lights went out, okay, because we all saw that live. We all saw that happening live. As I don't know if you guys could tell, but the light started flickering. It eventually went. Eventually went, and that stayed for a good 5 hours. Okay, like we went to sleep. Maybe more than 5 hours. We went to sleep with the power off and woke up to the power on. So yeah, fun times indeed. So needless to say, that was pretty exhausting. It was a pretty big storm. It was like the equivalent of like a tropical storm. There's trees went down in certain areas. Supposedly there was reports of a tornado, but not here though, but in the vicinity. In any case, it was it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad storms. Michael Hasser, yes. Kamikazion, hello, hello. Welcome. Folks, the usual disclosures before we get started. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to hit the follow button if you haven't done so. Keep liking the stream on YouTube, okay? Keep doing that. It really does help us out. Subscribe. Consider checking out the merch store. It's actually pretty freaking good. I know one of you requested to sample the merch on stream, and that's coming, folks. That is coming. Echo Resto Dragon, welcome, welcome, welcome. The person of the hour. When the power goes out, it's hard to do a load of laundry. Yeah, it didn't happen, folks. Needless to say. Unless you want to use elbow grease. No, I'm good. I'm good. Thankfully, we can now resume doing our chores. Happy birthday. I see you brought your little birthday Pepe. I hope you're doing all right. All right, folks, let's get started so we can try to get through some of these. You know, on the plus side, at least nothing got disabled or anything like that after the power surge. Although I will say my laptop settings were a little bit weird. But other than that, it seems like everything is okay. Probably a good place to start, I think.
The idea that we should have a law that says you can have an abortion at any point, no questions asked, even up until the moment of birth, I think for most Americans is a loon wing position. That's just my opinion, and but that's also what the
True. Abortions should be had at any point up to and including after birth.
Just to be no, you're absolutely.
A thing that happens. A thing that happens. Not this fool. Yep. It's John Kennedy, so, you know. This is to be expected.
You're absolutely fair game to make it. I'm just wondering how you think that will resonate with women when she is called nasty and crazy and a ding dong and all and disrespectful between you and the president. What has been said about her? I'm just wondering, do you worry how that comes across? And maybe you draw no distinction.
Oh man. This is the nicest way you could possibly ask a person, like, hey, don't you think like maybe being a piece of garbage might affect your party, your political ambitions? Have you tried not being a piece of crap? I'm just asking, you know. Respectfully, Senator. Oh, man. Senator Foghorn Leghorn. Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly who this guy is. Yeah, up until birth. Exactly. A thing that happens. Wait, I'm working. Did I hear abortion after the baby was born? Infanticide? Yeah. Infanticide, totally legal. A thing that's happening. Now, abort a third grade. We're aborting everybody. Up until and including birth, after birth.
Distinction between a female candidate and a male one, then that's fair game. But that this could hurt you with female voters with these type of comments.
Are you worried, sir, that being incredibly misogynistic and embracing a party that's incredibly misogynistic, that runs on a misogynistic platform, do you believe that may be, detrimental to your political ambitions. If you consider gun violence, that's the abortion after birth. Yeah, but they're not going to talk about any of that. I say Chad has some good points.
Fox News host Neil Cavuto, as you saw, was gently trying to make Senator John Kennedy aware of the fact that the imbecilic attack that he was trying to lob at Kamala Harris was only going to hurt Republicans more, because GOP fear-mongering about abortion is not an election winner for them. Whenever they talk about abortion, they lose votes. Nobody believes their lies, and furthermore, calling Harris names is alienating suburban women that they need to win. So in the middle of J.D. Vance's childless cat lady controversy, Cavuto is desperately trying to stop Kennedy from doing more damage. However, as you're going to see, he just doesn't take the hint and proceeds to suggest that Cavuto is actually triggered by his comments.
Oh man, amazing. Like, without fail, the best course of action is to double down. Yeah, you know what? This is a winning strategy. I recommend Republicans to deploy this strategy post haste. Okay, this is how you win elections. This is how you win elections, folks. That's my best foghorn leghorn. Anyone not know who that is? I do. Yeah, keep it up, fools.
And it all goes downhill from there, so let's watch.
Well, let me say it again.
Sure.
The vice president is a candidate for president of the United States.
Is the candidate.
I don't care about her gender. Neil, maybe you do, but I don't. I don't care about her race. I care about her
Then why
competence.
call her a ding-dong? Then
Amazing.
why call her a ding-dong?
And I'm telling you what the polling shows. I'm telling you what the polling
All right.
shows. And it does. And I'll be glad to sit down with you.
What does it have to do with you calling her names, dude?
And walk you through the polls.
Please do, because I
think
never
that-
know when it's constructive to call people names. You know, Senator, I just on the left or the right.
Well,
But
I'm
we'll see.
sorry
We'll see how it goes.
I'm sorry if it hurts your feelings, but let me say it again.
Senator, you keep bringing it back to my feelings. My feelings matter a little. All I'm telling you is, if you think you can.
Okay, then. Yeah, amazing. Odd Job John, welcome. Trump said the same thing about abortions in Chicago this afternoon. Right. Exactly. Infanticide, a thing that is happening.
Game this November, calling people names. I don't know how far that goes, left or right, but we'll see.
And also, like, this is kind of like showing how desperate the situation is on the Republican side. Because, like, man, they've got nothing. They've got nothing, and they know it. They've got nothing.
Still early to your point.
Your feelings seem to me like they matter to you a lot, Neil, and I'm trying to be objective here. Let me say it again.
Objective?
Are
The
you
polling-
really? Are you really being objective, Senator?
Oof. Yeah, getting called out on Fox News. Yeah, out of all places, man. It's because they know that this is a loser strategy. They know that this is a loser strategy, and Fox News is trying to, like, turn that around, but they just can't help themselves. They just can't help themselves.
I just think you've
think
got
so.
a bash-a-thon, a name calling at her. If you call that being objective, I don't know. But Senator, I
I
do want
think
to
it-
thank you for coming.
Well, thank you for having me, Neil. I hope you have a better day.
Yeah, so do I. Hope you have a better day. We'll have more
Jesus,
after this.
this is
So as you can see, Neil Cavuto is exasperated because
so freaking cringe. Oh man, oof. You can cut the tension there with a knife. Sheesh.
he is trying to fucking help Republicans. But Kennedy isn't taking the hint. He thinks that Cavuto is saying that because he's getting offended on behalf of Harris.
Right. That's amazing.
But no, he's trying to help you guys win, you idiot. But Kennedy is too stupid to understand the point that Cavuto is trying to make.
Thankfully, by the way, man.
And I love that he claimed that he was being objective by calling Kamala Harris names. I mean, you're free to call her names. In fact, please continue because that's not helping you. But you're not being objective. And the fact that you think you are by calling her names leads me to believe that you don't actually know what that word means. You calling her a loon is subjective, literally, which is why it's a problem for you. Because when Republicans attack women and call them names, well, they don't agree. So that's why Neil Cavuto was desperately trying to get him to shut the fuck up, but he just didn't want to listen. And
Can't help himself. They can't help himself. They just can't help themselves.
became more fixated on why Cavuto would dare tell him to not attack Kamala Harris. Love it.
Our humanitarian focus is on the needs of civilians in Gaza. Many have lost their houses, lost relatives, lost friends.
Now, Cavuto is right to try to rein in these kinds of attacks because it's already backfired tremendously for Republicans. For example, listen to what Tommy Loren, a fellow Republican, says about Vance's childless cat lady comments.
Don't get too comfortable on the Trump side, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this later, but the attacks on her personally, on whatever her past personally may have been, or calling her a childless lady, none of those are going to work, and they're going to make women second guess their support for what they may have felt for Donald Trump. Bad move.
Ooh, there are a lot of strong...
Yeah, so there's absolutely no reason why any woman would be supporting the Republican Party, but that's my opinion.
points in that for Republicans. I mean, depending on how much you love Donald Trump and do or don't like his VP pick, some of that was for J.D. Vance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's for
Don't call
everyone.
women dumb. It just doesn't work on Republican women or liberal women.
Now, that's not the first time that we've played that clip on this channel, but it's important because it highlights a divide that's emerging among Republicans. There are Republicans who want to win and rein in the party's social conservatism and sexism because, you know, they know that that hurts them. There was the report from Politico about GOP leadership trying to get other Republicans to not use sexist and racist attacks against Kamala Harris and try to fixate on the policy substance if you're going to attack her. So there are Republicans that want to win. And then there are other Republicans who maybe want to win, but they are convinced that everyone else thinks just like them. And they want to roll full steam ahead with the ad hominem attacks against Harris. Now, this divide has led to public disputes between conservatives.
Nobody who likes democracy would be supporting the Republican Party. Fair point.
And conservative propagandists. And it's getting to the point where there's so much disagreement over strategy, we might see another mini civil war among Republicans. Here's one example. First of all, theocratic fascist propagandist Matt Walsh attacked Republicans for trying to expand their base.
Yep, exactly. I you know what? I think that every time we have to talk about these ghouls, refer to them exactly as they are. That's who this dude is.
Writing on Twitter, quote, Republicans used the national spotlight during the convention to showcase diversity and, quote, big tent tolerance. Dems will use it to paint Republicans as deranged weirdos for 4 nights straight. Guess which will prove to be a more effective strategy? Hint, not the Republican one. Okay, that's not why Democrats are calling you guys weirdos, but the quartering responded to that, arguing, you need votes to win.
Amazing. The quartering. Thank you, Thinking Saber Cat. Thank you for that article. I'll bring it up in just a second.
And Republicans can go back to gatekeeping and being the party of losers after Trump 2024. Deal? Boomer conservative takes like this seem to forget a huge part of MAGA wants nothing to do with the cringe Republicans of yore. Now, Matt Walsh responded by dismissing his argument, saying, "You started paying attention to politics 5 seconds ago, so I don't blame you for not knowing this, but chucking conservative positions to the side and moderating in the name of the big tent is the most boomer con thing in the world. It's what Republicans have been doing forever."
Nope.
Now, the Quartering responded to that saying, "Yeah, I've only been covering it for years, so you covered it for a few more years, and thus that means I've covered it for 5 seconds. Enjoy gatekeeping and losing, Matt. At least you'll have your principles under President Kamala."
Amazing. Hello. Pretty climatic event in Whisper says the environmental pressure could cause a massive movement. Yes, I see. Thank you. I'm going to bring that up in just a moment.
Kamala Harris. He added, "Enjoy telling your kids about my principles for the next 4 years under Kamala. Gatekeeping can be good. I prefer to worry about that after getting Trump into office and not actively telling Trump voters they're not wanted. I've never called myself conservative, and this is why." So needless...
But you are conservative, Jeremy. The Quartering is conservative. The Quartering is a far-right account. The only reason he makes statements like this is that is so that he can try to hide from that. But he is a far right conservative.
to say things are getting pretty heated on the right and feelings are getting hurt as people get more salty. And
good.
You know, if they keep playing these games, things could devolve into a full-blown civil war. But listen, I've got to say this, and I don't want to say it, but I have to admit it.
Keep it up.
I think that the Quartering is making a fairly reasonable point here. The extreme social conservatism of individuals like Matt Walsh, that's just a turnoff to regular people. You know, he's expecting the Republican Party to be hyper-conservative. And even though the Quartering is comparably socially conservative, he acknowledges that most Americans are fairly liberal when it comes to social issues. So Republicans don't really have a fucking choice. If they want to win elections, they have to moderate to expand their coalition, especially when it comes to swing states. That's how they get over suburban voters. That's how they win over independents. Now, that's what they kind of tried to do at the RNC, and that pissed off Matt Walsh, right? They brought out Amber Rose to tell people that Republicans aren't actually racist and homophobic, but in reality, they very much still are. But the problem is that Matt Walsh doesn't even want them to pretend to be more welcoming, even if it's for cynical reasons. He wants the Republican Party to be explicitly exclusionary, even if it hurts them in elections. Now, Matt Walsh has been pretty consistent and open about this. For example, in response to exit polling from Ohio showing broad support for abortion, he said he doesn't care what the polls say. Republicans should never stop being anti-abortion. So, you know, this commitment to ideology over winning has put him at odds with people like the Quartering, who would prefer to be more pragmatic in order to win elections. Now, that's just one example of how this disagreement has kind of spilled over into the public sphere when it comes to strategy. There's some Republicans who just don't agree with the things that J.D. Vance says, and they find the recommendations that he makes a huge turnoff. For example, this clip from J.D. Vance managed to rub one very popular Republican the wrong way.
We need to reward the things that we think are good and punish the things that we think are bad. So you talk about tax policy.
Oh, man. Charlie Kirk. If you have time and want maybe a funny / maybe drug Don Jr. All right.
Let's tax the things that are bad and not tax the things that are good. If you're making $100,000, $400,000 a year, and you've got 3 kids, you should pay a different, lower tax rate than if you're making the same amount of money and you don't have any kids.
Is somebody gonna tell him? Is somebody gonna tell him? Hey, real quick, what are child tax credits? Just wondering. What are child tax credits that you get as a parent? Just curious.
Kids. It's that simple.
I totally agree.
Now, to be fair, he's previously endorsed the child tax credit, which is something that I also support, but I doubt that he would actually vote for it if it came up for a vote in the Senate, because when it did come up for a vote to make it permanent, all Republicans voted against it. Democrats supported it. With that being said, he might be signaling support for that in this clip, although I don't know. But the way that he frames it is absolutely terrible. It's not about punishing people who don't have kids. It's about not punishing people who do have kids. People who want to have kids should be able to afford daycare and rent, right?
Exactly.
They shouldn't be impoverished because they chose to have children. They shouldn't automatically be subjected to, perpetual poverty because they chose to reproduce. I think that's wrong, right? I think most people acknowledge that that's wrong. As a society, we have a collective responsibility to those kids, even if we don't have kids ourselves. I mean, that's why property taxes fund local schools, regardless if you have kids or not. But the problem is that Vance has already made it known that he genuinely has contempt for people who don't have kids, and he thinks that their lives are literally less meaningful than people who do have kids. He's even suggested that people who have kids should get more voting power. So
Yeah.
when you have that additional context, it's easy to see why somebody like Dave Portnoy, for example, who doesn't have kids, would be turned off by that comment. So he tweets out, "This is fucking idiotic. You want me to pay more taxes to take care of other people's kids? We sure this dude is a Republican? Sounds like a moron. If you can't afford a big family, don't have a ton of kids."
Yeah. It's funny seeing Chicken or Leghorn impersonator Kelly trying to say stuff about feelings when having a conversation.
Now, in response, he got swarmed by conservatives like Joel Berry of the Babylon Bee, who replied saying, "Other people's kids will be the ones feeding you and changing your diaper when you're a childless 88-year-old dying alone in a nursing home." He also quote tweeted Portnoy and added, "You're a 47-year-old man-child with no kids who has abusive fetishist sex with girls barely out of high school. Sorry, but no one thinks our tax policy should incentivize lifestyles like yours. Goddamn." Now, a bunch of other conservative influencers responded, including Ashley St. Clair, Lauren Chen, Louis C.K., randomly, comedian, the Hodge twins, and Bethany Mandel. But Joel Berry's
the classics.
reply seemed to really get under Portnoy's skin, which led to this response from him where he says, "Weird, your boss fucking loves me, specifically how I deal with clown shows like you." And then he shared a screenshot of a text that Seth Dillon sent him where he says he's a big fan of Portnoy. Damn. So in conclusion, these examples demonstrate how the Harris campaign has sent Republicans into a total state of disarray. I mean, you've got House GOP leadership telling Republicans to stop with the racist and sexist attacks against her. You have GOP pundits getting into ugly public debates about strategy on Twitter. And I've got to say, all of this infighting on the right is really nice to see. Because even though there was a little bit of bickering during the primary, the Republican primary specifically, it did seem like most Republicans had coalesced around Donald Trump in an effort to beat Biden. But now that Biden's out, all bets are off and it's an entirely new race. And Harris's sudden surge in the polls is forcing them to kind of change things up, but they don't know what to do. Right. So they're panicking and they're attacking each other and lashing out at each other. I've got to say, you love to see it. So let them fight.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
Ha! My ISP had the best and worst timing. The internet died right as I was logging out. Back up now. Well, good to see you.
This is the thinnest armor ever. Introducing Hyper Concealable Armor.
Late last week,
Amazing. Hey Bond, welcome. I did fall out of a coconut tree and won.
Donald Trump Jr. sat down to interview J.D. Vance, who of course is his father's running mate, Republican senator from Ohio. But even though Vance was the one who was being interviewed, he's the one who's running for public office, it was Don Jr. who did most of the talking. And people on the internet are speculating that it's not because Jr. just had so much to say. They believe it's because Jr. was clearly on something during this interview.
Not surprising. You think you fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you. What have you been searching that triggers body armor ads? Unfortunately, I read a lot of right-wing stuff, and I'm obviously covering a lot of right-wing stuff, so it's not surprising that I get a bunch of ads like this. That's basically what I've chalked it off to. Covering right-wing stuff has destroyed my my ad service.
And here is a clip. I'm going to show you this. It was put out there on the internet by Ron Filipkowski. And Filipkowski said this when he posted the video on social media. He said, Junior was absolutely out of his mind interviewing J.D. Vance. I did not speed this up. So, with that, here is a sampling of Donald Trump Jr.'s bizarre behavior during the interview.
They don't have coconut trees in the UK. I'd say I'm an acorn from a mighty oak. Concealable ballistic armor, also known as U.S. required school uniform. That's dark.
Take a look.
Like, there's some of them are like, we don't even want white women. Like, it doesn't, like, we need to check like 3 or 4 boxes so you can end up in, like, if you're like, you know, a trans communist, this, that, and the other, like, you too can be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company with no experience whatsoever. He's actually spent real time with them. Like, and he's sort of, I would say he's the blue-collar billionaire. And 15 years ago when I said it, people used to shit all over me. Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you don't understand. And now they...
Listen, folks. He's just had a 5-hour energy drink. That's all. Okay? Is he trying to sound more like his dad? Pathetic. Half of Columbia Jr.'s nose there. Drugs are bad, okay? Listen, folks. He's just had a 5-hour energy drink. Maybe a monster. Okay, that's all that's happening here.
understand.
As they say, meth is a hell of a
But the
drug.
borders are, wrote the article. It wasn't even like it was the same publication. It was the same journalist. I'm like, this you? Like, to literally save democracy, because it's literally at risk, JD. That's why I keep... Yes.
Now...
I mean... The only thing that's missing here is the accordion hands. Really.
As per usual, I'm not saying that Donald Trump Jr. is on drugs. But what I am saying is if you've been around people that are on certain drugs, that is exactly how they behave. And for the record, I'm not the only one who thinks that. The internet lit up when this clip was released, and it's not because of the content, it is of course because they're now speculating that Junior was definitely on something. Here are some of the responses to the video posted by Filipkowski. One of them said, resting heart rate of 346.
True.
Another said, this is what happens when cocaine interviews J.D. Vance. Another said, when your cocaine is on crack and Red Bull. Another hilariously posted, with great powder comes great responsibility.
True.
And then, of course, this one that I think is probably the most powerful. As a recovering addict and someone familiar with this state of mind, hear me when I say he hasn't slept in days. That crash is going to be rough when it hits.
Donald Trump Jr. looks so unshowered lately, like he's rabid and can't wash, or maybe he's going through some substance abuse.
Now, the reason I'm even talking...
Let's go back to what they were saying about Hunter and drugs.
...about this is because Donald Trump and pretty much everybody on the Republican side has spent the last 3.5 years, 4 years, maybe even a little longer...
Oh, there we go.
...trashing President Biden's son, Hunter, for being a recovering drug addict, right? They use that all the time. They talk about Hunter Biden's on drugs. Hunter Biden's on drugs. Have you ever seen a video of Hunter Biden where he looks like Donald Trump Jr. looked in that clip I just showed you? No. I mean, maybe if you're one of the people that has access to his laptop, I don't know. But there's something wrong, because that is not, by the way, Donald Trump Jr.'s normal behavior. Now, it is very common for him to be like that, sure. But we've also seen other interviews where he is subdued, where he's not talking 90 miles an hour. Like, he doesn't always do that, but he sometimes, frequently does it. Which would, of course, be indicative of somebody who is on something, and sometimes they're not. So, again, I'm not saying he is. I'm not saying he isn't. But something's up with that, and I think we need to focus on this. If they're going to make
Don Jr. is having a lot of nose beers.
Hunter Biden an issue for President Biden, let's make Jr. an issue for Donald. I mean, you can't look at that clip and think that that is how a normal person is supposed to be behaving, because it's not. I mean, almost feel sorry for J.D. Vance there, because he was just having to sit there sheepishly, awkwardly, listening to this man.
Well, Don Jr. is just really enthusiastic. That's what's going on here. Guarantee if this guy's drug use makes the news, it's suddenly going to be a personal matter.
Man who may or may not be on something, like yell at him, unable to get a word in edgewise. It was insane. And honestly, these are the kind of clips that the Harris campaign, maybe start putting these out there. Maybe show people exactly what's going on with the Trump family, since they've been trying to do the same thing to the Biden family for many years now.
The Biden crime family.
It's good enough for them. It's good enough for us. I say run the clip. Hi, everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. I say run the clip as well.
Hey, y'all. It's Leader Hakeem Jeffries. I'm going to keep this short and keep it real. Our democracy is under attack.
Yo, the dude is fake. Remember, Gary Chambers ran against him for the United States Senate, and Gary actually featured this fool in an ad.
Here's a good one. They go low, we go. We need them in the chin.
That showcased what he actually sounded like. And I'm trying to pull this up now. And I remember when we ran it, because people thought, okay, surely you're joking. But no, Senator John Kennedy used to be a Democrat. He used to be a Democrat. And I'm having some issues here. I'm trying to see if I can pull it up. Used to be a Democrat, y'all. And when he was a Democrat, now mind, he also went to Harvard, so he loves talking about elites and stuff along those lines. But what's interesting is that when he talks about elites, all right, so listen to this. Watch this, y'all. Listen to this.
Will not let you down. I'd rather drink weed killer.
Oh, and by the way, now he's good buddies with this guy. John Kennedy inspires people like this and has now raised $15 million to keep ruining Louisiana. We need to build a grassroots movement to defeat John Kennedy and build the margins of the Democratic Party in the U.S. Senate. Chip in today. We're a long way from 15 million, but people power can catch up. Let's go to work.
Avocado toast eating insiders elite.
Amazing.
Y'all, he was sitting here. Okay, so hold on. I'm going to try to run it back. So let's see if I can play this again. Because I cracked up laughing when I saw the ad. Let's see here. I don't know why it's jumping on me. Let's see if I can restart it, because I was just, like I say, it cracks me up every time I even hear it. Go to it now.
And this is my opponent, John Kennedy. He used to be a Democrat that talked like this.
Well, we have another program here at Treasury that we're very proud of.
But then he became a Republican, switched accents, and now he talks like this.
I will not let you down. I'd rather drink weed killer.
Avocado toast is good, yo. It is.
Oh. The dude's a fraud. He's an absolute Fraud.
True.
You know what that sounds like? You know when George Wallace first ran in was it Alabama? It was Alabama, right? George Wallace, when he first ran, he ran on a sort of progressive platform, and he didn't win. And I'm not going to say what he said, but he said after he lost that first battle, he said, "I'm not gonna be out N-worded again." And that's when he turned into the George Wallace that we know.
Hold on, I'm gonna play one more. I'm gonna try to see. Let's see. Listen to this.
Future decision or what?
Well, Arthur, we've been friends a long time, and I think you know the answer to that question. I'm a Democrat. I support Senator Kerry. I have endorsed Senator Kerry, as you have, as Chris has. He's the nominee of our party.
Now you notice how all of a sudden he was trying to move to the act. Dog, you don't.
Bruschetta. Man, I'll eat any of them. I'm good. I'll eat bruschetta, avocado toast, French toast, toast with butter.
Don't talk like that. Go ahead.
Nah, man, it sounds like like I said, man, it's almost like the situation with George Wallace. George Wallace didn't start out going segregation now and segregation tomorrow. George Wallace was actually a fairly educated man, but he found out what his base wanted, and that's what he did. And I'm assuming that's what this guy's doing. He sounds like a charlatan and an imposter, but I've heard of people changing hair color over time, but I've never heard anybody change their accents. He must have met Sunshine or something. I don't know what's going on with him.
That's funny. Yeah, cheese on toast. I'm good with that too. Bruschetta, is that how you pronounce it? Jesus Christ, hold on.
Bruschetta.
I'm sorry, what was that, chat? Bruschetta.
Bruschetta.
Sun is shining, it's a beautiful day.
Served with garlic and tomatoes, but you can top your toasted bread with whatever you feel like. It's a little bit like a pizza, but with a base of toasted bread. How do you go about pronouncing the name of this dish in Italian with the typical Italian pronunciation? Bruschetta.
Bruschetta.
Yes,
What? I might need some beans on. Oh, hold on. What is this abomination? Why would you put beans on toast? Grilled cheese is good. We meant Pop-Tarts made into sandwich with bacon. America. Anyways, I think we got the point. That was pretty funny. The accent switch.
It's only been a week and the race for the presidency has already completely shifted, with a lot of energy being generated among the Democratic Party, and some new polling out goes to show that there may be something here. A new morning consult, Bloomberg News poll, shows us, again, this is one poll.
If I recall, beans on toast is English dish, right? If it is, then it makes so much sense. It actually sounds like Bruce Geller, the producer of Mission Impossible.
But this poll shows us that Trump's lead has been wiped out in 7 swing states. So, including a massive lead in Michigan. So, Josh Wingrove from Bloomberg shared this. I'll link to the Bloomberg link below as well, though it is paywalled. But I'll get some data from this. It is incredible. Now, again, it's one poll. But it's a pretty wild result here. So they ask if the November 2024 election for U.S. president were being held today, and Kamala Harris and Donald Trump were on the ballot, for whom would you vote? So all swing states, Harris is leading by +1. Arizona, Harris up by +2. Georgia is tied at 47. Michigan, Harris up massively with +11 at 53. Nevada, Harris up by 2. North Carolina, Trump up by 2. Pennsylvania, Trump up by 4. And Wisconsin, Harris up by 2. This is wild. Now, let me get to Michigan specifically, because some people are saying, oh, this doesn't make any sense. How? There's impossible. It's impossible for her to be up by this much in Michigan. Look, again, one poll. Maybe she isn't. But I do want to get to a very important...
Yeah, Michigan is in play, I think. Heinz in the UK makes a cheese and baked beans pizza. Pineapple free. Why? What is this abomination? Cheese and baked beans pizza. What? Trump has been saying for people not to vote for him, and I bet that is so he can say that they're towing away the votes. Should be more.
Important piece here. So they do go on to write. This is from Morning Consult, saying Harris's gains in Michigan come amid an increase in support among groups with whom Biden underperformed, such as young voters, Democrats, and the state's independent voters. These improvements for the presumptive Democratic nominee come alongside similar gains among the larger swing state electorate. 46% swing state voters view Harris favorably, up 5 points from the previous survey, while the shareholding unfavorable views fell from 53 to 50. Notably, 30% of voters now hold very favorable opinions of Harris, which is a pretty big swing, up from 21 before Biden dropped his bid. All right, so Michigan.
Why is our border a chaotic mess? Kamala Harris. Biden put her in charge of the border. They rolled.
Yeah, so as you can see, I'm getting very wild swings when it comes to ads. Last time we had a Democratic ad, now we have that nonsense. Remember when Trump was shot at? I don't. Yeah, everything went quiet when they found out that the dude was a Republican.
It's important to remember just how critical Michigan has been of Joe Biden for good reason. This is one example, but there are many articles about this. This is from the New York Times. I'm the mayor of Dearborn, Michigan, and my city feels betrayed. So this piece from February, where the mayor goes on to write, what compounds the constant fear and mourning is a visceral sense of betrayal. In the past 3 federal elections, Arab American voters in Michigan have become a crucial and dependable voting bloc for the Democratic Party, and we were part of the wave that delivered for Joe Biden 4 years ago. But this fact seems long forgotten by our candidate as he calls for our votes once more, while at the same time selling the very bombs that Benjamin Netanyahu's military is dropping on our family and friends. There are many examples, several pieces. There are people who campaigned for Joe Biden in 2020 and then joined the uncommitted movement in Michigan because of Biden's hawkish position towards...
Why no U-Block? Because it's become part of the channel, okay? That's the reason for baked beans and whispers. Well, if we have time, we'll circle back to that.
Gaza, just cozying up completely with the far right-wing Israeli government as they've been committing mass atrocity. So another piece on that, this is from The Guardian, how the uncommitted movement rocked Biden over Gaza. Going on to right here, they far exceeded their goal. So the uncommitted movement, they wanted 10,000 votes in the primary, the Democratic primary against Joe Biden. They ended up getting 101,000 votes. So that's about 13% of Michigan Democrats, or 13% of those who voted, cast ballots for uncommitted, winning 2 delegates to the Democratic National Convention and awakening a modern anti-war movement that forced the president's attention to Gaza. This is a massive piece. If there's going to be gains in Michigan, and it appears there are going to be gains in Michigan, this, of course, has something to do with it. So anyone shocked to see this increase? Look, I get it. It's wild to see an increase like that in a week. But understand there was a lot of anger towards Joe Biden for people that otherwise would be supporting him. And now that has been wiped away. And we already saw on Friday, Kamala Harris, when she discussed this issue briefly in a speech, she showed a lot more empathy towards Palestinians than Biden has ever. So already we are moving in the right direction. Now, it's not going to be where it needs to be. Also, keep in mind, she is the VP. She can't exactly just change complete policy in contrast to what her president is currently doing. But there is definitely a change in tone there.
She could promise as president to take things in a different direction. I would think that would be most beneficial for a candidate aspiring to be the presumed Democratic nominee.
It hopefully signals a deeper change if she comes into power. Now, this also came out of this poll, which I find very interesting and very predictable. It's obvious. There was no enthusiasm for Joe Biden, and now look at the shift here. With Biden making the decision to not run for re-election, does that make you more or less likely to vote in this year's November election? Look at this. Black voters, much more likely. Gen Z voters, much more likely. Hispanic voters, much more likely. All registered voters, much more likely. We're talking so in terms of all voters here, almost half of all voters are at least somewhat more likely to vote because Joe Biden is no longer the candidate. This is what we have been all talking about for so long. This is why I was getting emails from people like criticizing me for stop talking about how Joe Biden should drop out. You're hurting him. No.
But Israel just started a Middle East war, so yeah, I mean, that's true. We'll see how Iran decides to respond. Not decides to. Well, yeah, they will respond. It's just a matter of the scope of how things are. But it would benefit her to have a more forceful tone with Israel. Best part of all of this is the wind that has left the Republican sails, as their whole attack was age. Right. Well, yeah, they've got nothing. In terms of attacking Kamala, they've got nothing. Political promises plus $1 is worth a nickel if you're lucky.
People were talking about this because we all realized that
I
Donald
don't dispute
Trump was
that.
going to win.
I don't dispute that, Cognizant.
If something didn't change on the Democratic side. Amazingly, the Democrats, in a bold move for once, actually did the right thing. Joe Biden finally agreeing, after being pressured by people like Nancy Pelosi and the Democratic establishment, finally agreeing to step down from the candidacy. Massive positive move, as you can clearly see here. Democrats are going to win if these voters turn out to vote. So this is just, again, more good news for the Harris campaign. Now, before you just look at these numbers, I just want to point out this is favorability rating. This is not vote for president, and this is from late last week. But this does, I think, signal the potential ability that Harris has to reach out to more voters that she could turn. So in all these states, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Minnesota, Michigan, Harris has higher favorabilities than Donald Trump does. Again, showcasing the ability there to potentially grow her support in those states. Also, this approval rating tracker, for the first time in years, since 2021, Harris is now in the positive, now has a higher approval than disapproval. Look at that shift. This is why you could not jump to conclusions, or I should say, you should not have jumped to conclusions about how Harris would perform in a race against Donald Trump simply based on where her numbers were. She was barely in the public eye for the past, 4 years. What people remembered about her before she, replaced Biden, is her failed campaign run in 2020 in the primary, where she dropped out even before the first states voted. So that people just didn't have a whole lot to think when it came to Kamala Harris. That has now completely shifted. And a lot of this, I think, as well, is due to the fact that it's enthusiasm that Joe Biden isn't the candidate. It isn't even necessarily about Harris, though I do think Harris is doing a good job campaigning so far. But I think the initial bump here is largely due to the fact that people no longer have to vote for Joe Biden. That is a massive piece of this. Last thing I'm going to share here. This is the Real Clear Politics poll average, where they take all the polls, and you could see where the gap was between Trump and Biden. So about 3 points up for Trump there. Biden,
as long as Harris can maintain her momentum with no serious gaps, she might actually pull it off in the end. Yeah, I think that's quite possible.
Drops out already. Harris has closed the gap. So this, when it comes to polling, I feel like national polling is less important, simply because that the presidency isn't picked based on the popular vote. But in order to win the Electoral College, Harris will need to outperform Trump here. And I think we're going to begin seeing more and more polling favoring Kamala Harris, because, again, it was about a lack of enthusiasm for Joe Biden. Things are looking very good right now.
And if the momentum, or rather the trend, continues, then it's going to be very possible that Harris can win. Yes. Absolutely.
It is a weekend. It's crazy to think it's only been a week, but it's only been a week. So understand there will be bumps. This is not going to be smooth sailing to the election. She's not going to keep increasing her support until, November. I'm sure there will be bumps. I'm sure things will happen. There'll be criticisms. Certain criticisms will hold. Things are going to happen. There's still a few months left. So things will happen. But the overall trend here is positive. It's Democrats, I think, are clearly in a much better position to beat Trump now than they were with Joe Biden at the head of the ticket.
Yeah. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. In keeping with the whole Republicans being weird, Jesse Waters, this proof positive that the U.S. does not need to maintain an infinite election cycle, like not campaigning for an election that's years away, like constantly, because right after this election, by the way, guess what's happening? Midterms. Yeah, that's right. Midterms. As soon as the presidential general election is done, midterms are coming. Not beating the weird accusations, Jesse Waters here. 30-second clip, okay?
Now, I don't see why any man would vote Democrat. It's not the party of virtue, security. It's not the party of strength.
What does that have to do with being a man? Contrary to popular belief here, okay? And correct me if I'm wrong, but a woman or anybody can be virtuous. Yeah. Anybody can be virtuous. I know. It's true. What did it say? I'll rewind. And so many with all the Botox and on his third facelift.
Now, I don't see why any man would vote Democrat. It's not the party of virtue, security. It's not the party of strength. It's definitely not the party of family. And
again, none of these are inherently things that apply to men. Anybody can be strong. Anybody can care about family. I think his mom needs to call him again. Republicans think women are the opposite of everything he just said. Exactly. True. Yep, I remember that video. I remember. Oh man, try again, Vinny. Try again. Try again. If capitalism became non-existent, then how will people have more job opportunities? Yeah. I know. Phenomenal thought process going on there. Jobs never existed before capitalism. It's true.
Be a man and then vote for a woman just because she's a woman?
That's not the reason why people are voting for her. That's not the only reason why people are voting for her. But this gets better. The last part of this is just absolutely amazing.
And then vote for a woman just because she's a woman is either childish, that person has mommy issues, or they're just...
Ooh, do we need to really play that clip? Do we need to bring up the mom calling Jesse Waters clip? How about not voting for her just because she's a woman? Exactly. Had double inverse projection mommy issues. Left flank vets rating with a party of 135. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for the raid. I appreciate it. Thank you, Marcus. Seashell. Thank you for the follow. Yeah, Jesse Waters knows a thing or two about mommy issues. Tech Jansen. Thank you for the follow. Folks, if you haven't done so, please consider going to check out Left Flank Vets. Twitch.tv/Left Flank Vets. Consider also following them on Twitter. Thank you all for the follows. If you enjoyed the content, feel free to hang out, follow. Grandpa Simpson, thank you for the follow. How left is there left, as I'm not a tanky fan? They're as left as left can get. Folks, I think we should, since we've got a bunch of wonderful folks hanging out here, we'll restart the clip. You have to be a tanky fan in order to be a leftist? True. That's how it works in the left.
Now, I don't see why any man would vote Democrat. It's not the party of virtue, security. It's not the party of strength. It's definitely not the party of family. And to be a man and then vote for a woman just because she's a woman is either childish, that person has mommy issues, or they're just trying to be accepted by other women. And I heard the scientists say the other day that
Scientists say. Many scientists have said. Honestly, I've seen children with less playground ways of trying to convince people to do things. You're not a boy if you like a girl because they have cooties. Yeah, Mama needs to call him again. I wasn't aware. I'm not much of a Tanky fan, but I thought I was pretty left. Oh well. Yeah, that's how it works around here. All the best scientists. I'm something of a scientist myself.
when a man
Joe
votes
110, thank you.
for a woman, he actually transitions into a woman.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, that's what the science says.
That
Yes,
science
that's
says
what
that.
the Now,
There it is, folks. Being attracted to women means you like feminine qualities, and liking that means you're basically a homosexual. Yep. That's how it works. I'm sorry if I missed the intro from the raid, but what is your name? A Difficult Truth. I am Carlos from A Difficult Truth. Dr. Jesse Waters. 42 Celsius here, 108. Sheesh.
votes for a woman, he actually transitions into a woman.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, that's what the science
that
says.
science, that
Yes,
science
that's
says
what the
that.
sci- Now, I don't see why
Yep, there you have it, folks. I'll rewind it. I'll rewind it just again for the juicy part right here. Excuse me, I'm
trying to
pansexual.
be accepted by other women. And I heard the scientists say the other day that when a man votes for a woman, he actually transitions into a woman.
Yep. All the scientists are saying, folks. Many people are saying. Okay. When you got guys, the people that are the people that vote for women, okay? Transition into women. If you are a man, and you vote for a woman, you are now a woman. I don't make the rules, guys. I don't make the rules. Jesse Waters from Fox News does. Okay? Well, looks like I have to vote for her. If my dick falls off, I'm not voting for her a second time. I understand they must use fear to control, but come on. No, this is gold. This is gold, okay? Well, something he's saying makes some sense, but a little off it. Maybe if you vote for a felon, you should be locked up. Yeah, but he's never going to say that, right? He's not going to say, oh, if you vote for a felon, you become a felon. Holy City gifting 5 tier 1 subs. Thank you so much for the support. I appreciate it. Jesse has never been a logical person before. That's true. Actually, what we're seeing here is unfiltered a-holism. True. I think the a-holery will continue to get worse whether they win or lose. Yeah. I think it would be worse if they lose. Trump will run again in 2028 if he loses in 2024? I don't think so. I don't think so. I voted for Hillary and my dick is okay. If you get an absentee ballot and vote for a female by mail, would it balance out? I don't know. Who do you think the VP will be? Who do you prefer? I don't know who the VP is going to be, but I prefer, out of the ones that are actually in the running for VP, that are still on the top list, that have made the cut, I think Tim Walz would be my preferred VP choices out of the VP choices that remain. I think Tim Walz would be the most preferable. Lenin's fumigated corpse could be a choice I could get behind. I didn't vote for Hillary, still a woman. Josh Shapiro's, who a lot are saying due to location or due to the location of the announcement. Maybe, but I hope not. I hope not. I've never voted for president. You guys discriminate against Canadians. True. I would want Kelly for VP because Walz can do crap done more as governor. Yeah, but Kelly kind of sucks. Not gonna lie. Walz would be my POTUS pick, though. Of how he immediately said he would vote for the PRO Act once he was in consideration. Nah, no. We see you. I saw that. I think any country with an American military base in it should get a vote in American federal elections. You know, that's actually an interesting concept. I wouldn't be necessarily opposed to that. Let's start with getting Puerto Ricans to vote. True. True. All right, folks. I got a few more articles to go through, so let's do this here. Mexico City residents faced with water crisis resort to drastic measures. Mexico City is one of the largest cities in the world, yet is running out of water. It's a slow-motion disaster decades in the making, caused by a litany of issues, including human-induced climate change. Yep. Residents are deeply concerned about the impending water crisis. In Mexico City, many treat every drop of water with the utmost care because there is no running water, and rain hasn't come amid the drought. Water is purchased at a great cost for low-income families. Bernardo Nonato Corona, a resident of the hills surrounding Mexico City, told ABC News he spends 25% of his income on water, and his story is repeated millions of times in Mexico City's sprawling metropolis. Whew. Imagine spending a quarter of your income for water. Water is very necessary and used for everything, said Corona. To drink it for the maintenance of the house, for personal use, even for the plants themselves, since it doesn't rain and you have to water it because it uses up a lot. Over the past months and possibly even years, Mexico City's watershed has been experiencing a noticed decrease in rainfall. The effects of the situation are now becoming increasingly visible, ABC News has found. For the first time, many people are openly questioning whether the city will face a water shortage soon. A majority of Mexico City's water supply, 60 to 70%, is sourced from aquifers and geological formations of rock and or sediment that store groundwater, according to Mexico City's Water Authority. A recent studies found that as much as 5 million Olympic-sized pools of groundwater have been pumped out yearly for past decades. The city now relies on rain to fill a reservoir, and groundwater levels are dwindling. However, the ongoing historic drought, exacerbated by human-caused climate change, means a long rainy season is no longer guaranteed, experts told CBS. Enrique Lomez, founder of Isla Urbana, moved back to Mexico City after attending college in the United States to help his native country overcome the water crisis. He and his organization have been working to save Mexico City from completely losing water. So the reservoirs are basically empty. That's 30-40% of the city's water we're no longer getting, or we're getting like a trickle that when we used to have a stream. So we're not recharging our aquifers. We're pumping an enormous, crazy amount of water out of the ground because there's 22 million people over here, and that's the basis of the problem. Decades of underinvestment in Mexico City's water grid means that about 40% of all water pumped through its pipes is lost due to leaks. The water simply seeps into the ground. When it rains, the city pumps out billions of gallons of water to avoid flooding, and that water could theoretically be recycled. Mexico City's water system representatives did not respond for comment. On the political front, Mexico's president-elect and former mayor of Mexico City, Claudia Sheinbaum, held an event on the esplanade of the Coyoacan mayor's office in Mexico City on May 5th of 2024, where she stated, "No scientist, because there is still no science that can do that, could predict this circumstance," in referencing to the current water crisis. but scientists say droughts are inevitable and planning in advance is possible. At the same event, Shane Boone said, "We already know where the water is going to come from and how to invest. It is going to be the great investment that we're going to make in the metropolitan area of the Valley of Mexico." ABC News reached out to Sheinbaum campaign to ask what the layout looks like. They did not reply to a request for comment. As climate change continues, the heat wave becomes more extreme and drought grows longer. Everything is at stake for people like Corona and millions of people more in Mexico City. If we don't think of our children, that if tomorrow the way we're going, water will be more expensive, there will be more water shortages, Corona said. So if we don't give a solution to the water issue, I don't know what will happen tomorrow with our children, our grandchildren. The city will have to use its water much more efficiently and sustainably to be prepared for future droughts. Due to a historic drought made worse by climate change, record heat, and faulty infrastructure, Mexico City needs to improve its overall water usage. I think that's an existential crisis for the city, but I think people are incredibly adaptive. I think people are very resilient, and I think Mexico City is resilient. Mexico City's been through a whole lot of things. It's not over. Yeah. Pretty dire situation. Hate to say you don't need a scientist to do the test of holding water bottles open and upside down. The water will inevitably disappear. Yep. That's going to be the Southwest U.S. Soon, if not already. Yep. That's very true. Do the baked beans video. I don't think we have time. I'm gonna be honest. I still need to get through these. We're gonna speed run through some of these because it's already getting close to 7 o'clock. Carrie Lake wins the GOP primary, so she's going to be taking on Ruben Gallego in a pivotal Senate race. So yeah, she won her primary. It's 1 minute at the most. All right. Let's just do it real quick.
Ryan Reynolds here for Mint Mobile. It turns out one of the fastest growing segments of people signing up for Mint are people over the age of 55. So I've decided.
Carrie Lake is a very strong, intelligent woman. Incorrect. She's an absolute ghoul. Amazing. Is this like a Monty Python skit? Oh, Blazing Saddles. It's okay to have different opinions. It's okay to be wrong. Yeah, this isn't an opinion. It's just, you're just wrong. Amazing. Thank you. The Thinking Saber Cat. Beans, though. Whew. Arizona local official who defended elections against GOP attacks is ousted in the primary. Stephen Richards has been a fierce defender of the integrity of the Maricopa County election since he was elected as county recorder in 2020, has lost a Republican primary to keep that role, according to a race called by the AP. Maricopa County includes Phoenix and is Arizona's population center. The recorder helps run county elections. According to AP, Richard was defeated by a GOP challenger, Justin Heap, a state representative backed by the far-right Freedom Caucus and other conservative groups. With 81% of the estimated rolls as of 5 a.m., Heap had 42% and Richard had 36%. Another challenger had 22%. So that's a sad, sad, sad state of affairs where the GOP ousted somebody for defending election integrity. Hello, Mr. Meeps. Come here. Alvin. 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 Come here. You want to say hi? Alvin's a little, camera shy. That's okay. He's not like the other cats. You're a 3-cat house. Yep. Indeed. He's, much more shy than, the other two. All right, I think we're going to forego this one. So the TLDR is that Trump is losing his collective-ish because apparently Project 2025 is now becoming a liability since people are catching on to what this is. I missed that part. What, the third cat? Yeah. So, I'll tell you the story real quick before we go. Alvin came to us after a storm, and he was Bob at the time because he has a cute little bobtail. He has a cute little bobtail. So he came after a storm. We found him in the front. We decided that we were going to try to find a home for him. And we tried everything possible to find him a home. We thought somebody was going to take him. We thought we found a good home for him. And it ended up being that wasn't going to work out. And, well, now he lives here. So he adopted you, yes. Ukulele. All right, we'll do something with the ukulele. I got you. What exactly is Project 2025? You should Google it. Go to their website. Find out. It's pretty disgusting. So now Trump is angry that people are catching on to what Project 2025 is actually about, and it's becoming a problem for his campaign. So now he's angry about it. Google isn't truthful. All right, well, whatever, dude. That's pretty annoying. You can just go to the freaking website if you want to. You don't have to Google. You can just find the website. Find the direct source. Jesus Christ. Anyways, the TLDR is that apparently he's very big mad. He's very big mad that it's becoming a political liability. So, yeah. Yeah, I got to spoon feed him. Nah. I got limited time. Schumer stops short of endorsing Biden's Supreme Court proposals, which is pretty freaking annoying, considering that we do need Supreme Court reform. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer stopped short of endorsing Biden's plan to overhaul the Supreme Court in an interview Wednesday, signaling Democrats may be less inclined to follow Biden in new policy fights in the final months of his presidency. So, yeah, this just seems like, if you disagree with the types of Supreme Court reforms that Biden is proposing, then put your own forward. But the point being is that there definitely needs to be Supreme Court reform, right? It's so weak. This is so weak. Like Biden, it doesn't have any real political implications for Biden. He's not running anymore. It's not going to hurt him. Come on, Alvin. Come on. Well, the chaps at the country club might poke fun of him. True. Well, Alvin's refusing, but that's okay. Project 2025 is a Christo-fascist plan to make America like North Korea with an injection of Christianity and hate for anyone that does not submit. Yeah. Alright, folks. We gotta do the ukulele, and then we're out of here. Let me get the Yuki out. There we go. gonna play an unlicensed happy birthday song. Do you know it's your birthday? Dun 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 dun. It's my birthday too, yeah. No, it's from the Beatles. That's not unlicensed. The happy birthday actually ended up losing its royalty status a few years ago. I feel like I was onto something and then I lost it. I feel like I'm missing one thing. That might work. Well. The song is in the public domain in the United States and Europe. In 2015, the copyright claim was declared invalid, and Warner Chappell agreed to pay back the $14 million in licensing fees. Wow. I feel like we're getting closer to something. Justin freaking. All right, I'll try one more time. I think I did too much there. There you go. I feel like that fits. Yeah, that works for me. I think that counts as a riff. It's close enough anyways. Alright folks, it is time for me to go. Thank you all for joining, I appreciate it. If you guys enjoy the content, hit the follow button, it really does help us out. A bunch of you did. Adios. Thank you, Tech Jansen. I appreciate it. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for the gifted subs. Thank you, Heath. Thank you, Michael Hesser, for modding the chat. I appreciate it. If you guys want to keep supporting the channel, there are many different ways. Keep hitting the follow button on the YouTube. Keep liking the stream. Subscribe. Do all the awesome stuff. Consider checking out the merch store, which has been revamped and is doing phenomenal. Thank you, A-Bombed, for the 30 biddies. I appreciate it. Thank you all for the support. As always, folks, we will be back tomorrow. Thank you, and thank you to a big thank you, I should say, to Left Flank Vets for the raid. Thank you all for stopping by. I appreciate it. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love y'all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you all. I appreciate it. See ya. Thank you, Kamikaze. Hang tight, folks. Enjoy your birthday, Echo Resto Dragon. Alright, folks, we're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.